Well, India Inc. is very optimistic about the economy. The Dun & Bradstreet Business Optimism Index suggests that optimism with India Inc. is at a 14-quarter high. Now, while optimism for selling prices are the highest since the third quarter of 2012, optimism for workforce employed is about a 7-quarter high as of now. So will it result in more investments, more job creation and more demand? We have Manish Sinha, the Managing Director of Dun & Bradstreet India, who joins us now. Manish, welcome on the show. But, your report says that business confidence in January-March quarter is at a 14-quarter high. Now, we know the effects of demonetization have waned out. There's been some stability as far as GST is concerned. What exactly is the India Inc. so gung-ho about?
Right. So we summarize 6 parameters when we arrive at the Business Optimism Index. Unusually, in this quarter, 5 of the 6 are actually giving pretty much all-time highs over a period of 6 to 8 quarters or more, right? So optimism on net profit is at a highest point for 6 quarters. Optimism for net sales is at the highest point for 6 quarters. Optimism for new orders, that's the new orders companies tend to make, are the highest in 8 quarters. Optimism for selling prices is at the highest for since Q3 of 2012. So you're talking about almost 5 years. Optimism for increasing size of workforce, in other words, the recruitment that companies are planning to do, is at a 7-quarter high. So that's the reason why we're saying that the results suggest that this is the highest it's been for 3.5 years. Now, our survey is the result of a sample size of 450 to 500 companies. We take inputs from the respondents, and these companies come out of the proprietary Dun & Bradstreet commercial credit information file. So as a part of the survey, we also get a sense of why the respondents believe, why are they so optimistic? And if I had to summarize, there would be basically 3 things, right? Firstly, the current victory in the state elections and the upcoming union budget, and indeed the assembly elections of this year, seem to have generated a lot of optimism about government SOPs that could push revival in consumption and investment. So that's one reason. The second reason is that it appears that the waning impact of demonetization is being felt. There has been some stability as a result of GST being now kind of incorporated for the most part. So there seems to be an optimism on demand scenario for business, right? And the third thing relates to the global economy. So the global economy is expected to pick up steam this year. We believe that India should stand to gain. There's a favorable interest rate differential and continued reforms for improving ease of doing business. All of this should mean that it's laying the fertile ground for domestic and foreign investors.
Right, Manish. So you've given us a bird's eye view of why optimism is high among India Inc. For this quarter. But, if you break it down for us, which are the sectors that are most optimistic and which are the sectors that are least optimistic, and what are the reasons for the same?
Right. So overall, it starts with, for every component, who's expecting the best uptick. So in that, I would say to you that services, in particular BFSI, so banking and financial services industry, appears to be the most optimistic. So they are the highest in terms of 3 out of all our metrics. So in terms of volume of sales, in terms of selling prices, and in terms of employees and recruitment that they expect to make. If I had to look at which are the ones that appear to have the largest presence in terms of the lower levels of optimism, it would be primarily consumer non-durables. So they seem to be the least optimistic in terms of selling prices and in terms of volume of new orders. However, even consumer non-durables appear to be quite positive when it comes to the inventory levels they intend to keep. So I don't know why that would be the case, but that's what the results tell us. So overall, that would be what I would say is the highest and the lowest in terms of the sectors.
All right, fair enough. Just, one quick question before we let you go. What everybody really wants to know is the employment data. Now, will this rise in optimism that you're talking about, will it result in large job creation? And if so, what are the sectors that are likely to be the largest job creators? Or do you think this is just a one-quarter, survey? It's just, will it be a temporary impact, and will the job creation not be very large?
Right. So to answer your last question first, yes, I think that the increase does tend to be significant, even though it's a quarterly data point, because it's very forward-looking, and it is forecasting the level of upswing that a wide variety of our responders is actually telling us. Now, in terms of which services, which sectors expect to see the highest level of employment, it appears that the highest is the services sector, and the lowest appears to be what's called intermediate goods. So these are not the raw material producers, but not the sort of consumer-facing materials, but the intermediate goods. They appear to be the least optimistic.
All right, Manish, thank you very much for joining us on CNBC TV 18 with the Dun & Bradstreet Business Optimism Survey Outlook. But now moving on, after Cash and Carry and Walmart,